All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow. Hey, check this out. Most of us, we live here in the West, and we really truly don't understand because it's never been brought to our attention, because when we was birthed, we fell into this society. So therefore our thoughts and everything, the way we think, it functions after this society. Do you know that there's a difference in the way that you have been culturally reared here in the West as opposed to the way that people actually is culturally reared and think in the East? And did you also know that many of the philosophies, the understandings, the comprehensions, and the books of wisdom that we have today, they actually come from the East? What has happened is we've had an inserted Western philosophy. Let me give you an example, okay? All right, listen to me very closely. And, if you don't understand and you don't know these things, when you're speaking and have dialogue with people, you have no idea the intent. Did you hear what the word I said? The intent and where people are coming from. That's why it pays to be a good listener, but you can't listen good if you don't have the information already pre-stored in your head. I'm not talking about the information that you grew up with, the philosophy you grew up with, the way that this society functions, because they're diametrically opposed to each other. Eastern philosophy, Western philosophy. Let me give you an example, okay? Without hesitation here. Here in America, they tell us that every individual has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Is that right? All right. Now, the philosophy behind that is, and what everybody else in the whole world sees, is selfish, inconsiderate, self-willed people who, in order for me to get an advantage and gain, I have to step on and over you in order to pursue that happiness. In other words, it's a very selfish, self-driven, ambitious type of lifestyle. And if you don't believe me, think how you think. And, you're going to do something to alter and change your own mindset. I can't do it for you. All right. Also, on the flip side, let's go and look at the Eastern. Over in the East, people think as a sense of unity. They think as a tribe and a tribal format. When you read the Bible, what does it talk about? The 12 tribes of Israel, don't it? And it's hard to try to fuse both thoughts together. I've seen people come from the East and be just as selfish. Matter of fact, everyone I've ever met from the East has flipped philosophies and got over here and got converted and just become just as selfish. Anything that they can do to take advantage of anyone, brothers, sisters, everything is a business transaction. Whereas the Eastern philosophy is more family-centered and family-focused. And that is, listen to me. You really, truly need to try to understand and comprehend what I'm saying, because it actually affects your thoughts. It actually affects the way that you view life. It actually affects the way that you function. It actually affects your perspectives and point of views and outlook, the whole 9 yards. And your intent, while it may be good to you, the actual doing of it may be very detrimental. That's why people are in this quagmire today of confusion, because they don't know how to fuse together the principles of books of wisdoms. Socrates, Philo, Eusebius. I can go on and on and on and on. All of these are Greek philosophers. All right. Of course, where did they get it from? Well, they got it from ancient Kemet, ancient Mizraim, commonly called Egypt. And of course, where did they get them from? Well, they got it from Yosef, who actually taught the Mizraim senators wisdom. Now, to speak English to some of you folks out there who don't comprehend what I'm saying, they actually got it from Jacob, the sons of Jacob, called Joseph. And he taught them how to conduct business and how to be wise and do this. So everything, you have one culture hijacking philosophy, hijacking culture and art from another, and then fusing it together with theirs. And as a result, like America, it steals everything of antiquity, and try to make you think that everything originated with the Europeans. And most people don't know that. That's why when you read your history books, they're greatly skewed. And I'm telling you, it's like a big slap in the face when you get older and you start using self-autonomy and you start looking at these perspectives and point of views. you start to ask yourself a question. What in the world have they done to my mind? And believe it or not, most people are comfortable with their particular mindset, even though it's going to be a detriment to them later on in life. Let me give an example on this too as well. This American system, free market capitalism, right? They tell you it comes from the Australian school of thought, the Keynesian philosophy. All right, listen to me. Money, economics. And you have to understand money, because there's an old wise saying that says money make the world goes around. And it also says, there's another wise saying that says money answereth everything. This system, unless you do it the way that they say you ought to do it, is designed for you to fail. But this system is also designed to get everything that you've got soon as your time is up, especially if you participate in it. Let me give an example of that too. All right. Do you know that a lot of people who have money or who have stored up money have an inheritance tax? Okay. Just the other day, I heard a horrific story. I mean, to me, it was horrific. Someone's parents, it was a single man, and his parents had left him an inheritance of $2 million. In other words, they didn't waste their life. They lived good. They were very frugal with their money. They saved, and they did exactly what the philosophy of the East says. You should actually leave something to your children and children's children. Make sure your children's children. And so they left it. But here in this society, guess who got their hands out? Called the inheritance tax. That's right, good old Uncle Sam. And you know how much he's going to get of that? 50%. Isn't that amazing? The man ended up with $1 million. Needless to say, he was upset. And $1 million today is not a lot of money. It's a lot of money to those of us who don't have it, but it's really, truly not a lot of money when you're thinking about trying to exist and live. Now, what's the wisdom behind it? Well, what you need to do is, instead of storing your wealth in Federal Reserve notes, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and all this other paper assets, you should actually put it into, i.e., tangible assets, gold and silver, stuff that is over the history of time has never, ever been to zero. And I realize that 99%, well, I'm going to say 99, my actual audience is a little bit more intelligent than that. So I need to stop saying it's just become part of my makeup, because sometimes I get disgusted at ignorance. You know, ignorance is not bliss. Whether you've been deceived into thinking that it is or not, it's just simply not bliss. It's actually taking advantage of you. But I say 50% of you really, truly don't even care what I say. And the greed of this world is utterly, utterly amazing. And most of us will never, ever comprehend what it means to actually give. Because if you can actually comprehend what it means to give, then you'll be able to understand the spiritual principles behind it. Because in this philosophy and rearing of this particular world that we live in right now, we feel if we're giving, we're losing something. That's where our mind thinks. And we never, ever think that we're going to gain something. Just the other day, I had a friend call me up in dire need, because he is in a family crisis. Had a wife, his ex-wife took off from him, took the children, and just a horrific events. And YouTube responded. My followers responded with strength and power. Not only was he able to meet his goals to be able to go pick up the children, but they doubled the gold. And thank you to each and every last one of you who actually love me enough and trust me enough to believe me enough to support a family in dire need. And it's just sad. And I'll end it on this. You know, it's got to be heart-wrenching and experiences. You know, think about this. It's just, what if you're a man, you're at work, and then you come home one day and your wife is sitting there crying, and you don't, what's wrong with you, honey? Our child is gone. And of course, what do you think you're getting ready to experience? She's already experiencing it. I mean, you're going to have your own human spirit accuse her, then you're going to be angry and upset, and you're going to want to go do something, but it doesn't bring back the child, does it? That's got to be a horrific experience. You know the reason why? You never get closure. You never get closure. I mean, and it's almost, and I hate to say this, it's almost better to know that they are dead and gone on if something has happened to them, rather than to live the rest of your life not knowing whatever happened to them. And most people simply can't recover from that type of trauma. Well, this particular trauma right here is pretty sad. It really, truly is pretty sad, because, You know, you had an ex-wife who decided to kick the traces on the husband. She ends up with a boyfriend that sexually molests his 5-year-old daughter and 3-year-old son. And the wife actually gets in on the sexual molestation herself. And I tell you, it's just sad. And I felt for him, and you can see it in his heart when he gives the thank you video. So thank you to each and every last one of you. I think I've bored you enough with perspectives, philosophies, understanding, comprehension, and knowledge this morning. Y'all have a wonderful day.